As hundreds of wildfires consume forests in parts of Canada.
Floodwaters smashed the record.
This was our deck.
Scientists say extreme weather is being driven by global warming, and it's happening at an unprecedented rate, not seen in at least 2,000 years.
Hundreds of sudden deaths have been reported in BC since the heat wave began.
Humans are definitely causing warming of the climate system. Greenhouse gas emissions are the biggest driver of that warming.
Much of Canada's emissions are from fossil fuels through oil and gas, transport, and buildings. You've sent us messages asking if the parties running in this election have a plan for the environment.
We need workers to get emissions down,
Mr. Toole,
and get our energy to market.
We are going to put a cap on oil sands and oil and gas emissions.
So what are the parties actually promising when it comes to reducing Canada's greenhouse gas emissions? And is it enough?
The decisions that we're going to make as a country in the next 2, 3, 5 years are going to have huge implications for how well we deliver on our climate objectives.
Well, if we reduce our emissions rapidly and deeply, then we can still have a chance at limiting global warming to 1.5 or 2 degrees.
But what exactly does that mean? For thousands of years, the Earth's temperature remained around the same. Then, right about this time, humans started burning fossil fuels, pushing up the global temperature by 1 degree. Scientists say we need to limit warming at 1.5 degrees, but warn we're currently on track to hit that. And it's why urgent international action is needed. Enter the 2015 Paris Agreement, a global declaration committed to cutting emissions enough to keep warming below 2 and ideally 1.5 degrees Celsius.
In Canada, we've observed warming at roughly twice the global rate, and that's projected to increase.
Canada initially promised to reduce our carbon dioxide emissions to 30% below 2005 levels by the year 2030. That would mean dropping from 732 megatons of CO2 emissions to 513. But in 2019, we produced 730 megatons, an increase of 1 megaton or 0.2% over 2018.
He has great ambition. He never meets his targets.
We are on track to exceeding our targets.
Most of the parties have made emissions targets part of their official platforms, except for the Bloc Québécois and the People's Party of Canada. In fact, the PPC doesn't accept the science behind human-caused global warming. If you take the Green Party, it has the most ambitious targets, committing to cut emissions by 60% below 2005 levels by 2030. The NDP are promising 50%, though the plan lacks details, but this would put Canada in line with the US. The Liberals are pledging 40 to 45%. The Conservatives, they're going back to Canada's original goal, 30%.
Targets are great, but ultimately how well we do is going to be a function of how strong our policy is, how aggressive are our regulations, what kind of constraints do they impose on businesses and industry, how high are our carbon prices, how deep are our caps in our cap and trade systems.
Each party has their own plan, though some are more specific than others.
You're looking for transparency. Are we talking about specific policy instruments with specific increases in carbon prices or specific increases in regulatory stringency?
Take carbon pricing, for example, a policy that hits all sectors of the economy. Most parties have a plan, but with different stipulations and rules. In general, a higher price drives emissions down more quickly, but it will cost businesses and individuals more. Experts say another important factor to focus on is transitioning to green energy and a clean economy.
Canada has to be cognizant of where things are changing elsewhere. Yes, there'll be ongoing demand for oil and gas in global markets, but increasingly there's going to be lower demand as other countries are driving their own electric vehicles, whether that is contributing to zero-emission vehicle supply chains, minerals and products required for the huge growth in renewable electricity that is likely to play a big part of a global net zero transition.
So how do we know a party will meet their targets? Some modeling and analysis has been done by experts to estimate whether their plans will achieve what they claim, but ultimately, we don't know.
So if we continue to increase our emissions, we can expect strong global warming and much intensified climate changes through this century.
Climate change is going to be a huge factor in our long-term prosperity, a huge factor in the well-being of Canadians, and it deserves even more attention than it's getting.
Do you have a question about the federal election? Email us at ask@cbc.ca.